Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our fifth final meeting. I want you guys to introduce yourselves very shortly. Where do you teach? What subject area?
Hey, my name is Shayna Van Oster, and I teach 9th grade English at Compton Tech.
I'm Philip Dawson. I teach English 3 and AP Lang at Centennial High.
Okay, I'm Azure Woods. I teach U.S. History, 11th grade, and AP Psychology.
And I'm John Takapan, and your humble servant and the tips member. I'm happy actually seeing the outcomes of your work for the entire year, and I'm very grateful to all of you for giving me the opportunity to work with you as your colleague and your mentor. I enjoyed all the classroom observations I did in your classes, and I learned a lot from you, I guess, more than what you learned from me. So, looking back at your tips journey, which moments most shaped your development as a teacher?
I can't go first, sorry. I think I like the triads because it's like the only time you really get to sit down with the mentor and like the principal to see like everyone's visions aligned, and I think that's my biggest takeaway point to move forward for the rest of the things. So I really like that. I also think these meetings where we can like talk about our own schooling experiences and what we do in our classrooms have been most beneficial and takeaways for me.
I think the classroom observations when you come in, Dr. Takapan, to help, to observe me and actually assess my teaching and give me positive and, critique of my lessons was very helpful. The feedback was remarkable because I'm able now to tailor and make changes to my current planning.
Mr. Dawson?
I think for me, probably the most helpful, probably two things. I would think these meetings are very helpful. I like talking to you all, like kind of collaborating, seeing where we are as far as our journeys. And honestly, I think the peer observations, probably a couple things. Peer observations kind of help, to be honest. I like seeing other teachers and seeing, their teaching styles, their strategies, and so forth. And also, as much as it's kind of a it's not a whole lot of fun, kind of like the research we do. The research, it could kind of be, there's a lot sometimes, but I do learn a lot when I'm kind of digging into the CSTPs. I have to look in this woods. The CSTs, based on the CSTPs that we've chosen to focus on, I kind of like doing that research. Like I said, it takes a while and it can be kind of overwhelming sometimes, but I think that really helps.
So based on that, what do you think is one area of growth that still needs attention? We know that there are always rooms for improvement, and that there's no things that is perfect teaching situation. It's always a group under construction or work under construction. And what specific steps will you take to improve it?
For personally, like what we should still be working towards, like moving forward. Is that what
Yes.
you're asking?
Yeah.
I think just again from the takeaways from your feedback and my principal's feedback, like the rigor of questioning like the students and making sure I'm holding them to a high expectation, moving forward, and just keep pushing them. What are the things called? Are they DOKs?
Yeah.
Yes, I that was my biggest, I think, feedback from Ms. White, and then from when you came to watch, and then just that. So moving forward, I'm definitely focusing on that for next year and next semester specifically.
Okay, I think for myself would be organizing subject matter and differentiating instruction to all students. It's sometimes really hard because you have all these different levels in your classroom. You have to make sure you're touching the standard, making sure you're delivering instruction to all students based on their level, so that way they can obtain the goals for the lesson. So that's one thing I would like to work on is differentiating instruction and making sure that students understand the expectations of the assignments.
What about Mr. Dawson?
I would agree with that. One of my research, some of my research focus this last semester was in differentiation. Earlier in the year, differentiation. You know, I think it's important. It is hard because we have these different levels, and there's a lot of strategies to try. Some work better than others. I would like to kind of focus more on differentiation so that I can meet the needs of, like, you know, all the students, give them more equitable experience. And as well, differentiation, and I had something in my head right now, on the tip of my tongue. What was it?
Assessment or?
No. Facilitating, to be honest.
Okay.
You know, I'd like to get better and work on me working less, and students working more. There are times, and it's been like that for a while, where I feel I'm carrying a lot of the load myself. Thinking for the students when I really want to get better at facilitating. I had a coworker years ago at another school, another district, tell me, because I was complaining about it, but because I could hear you next door, we had a room that went, and so we, you know, talk about our days a lot, and afterwards, like, you know, I can hear you talking all the time, and I remember telling us, like, oh, I'm doing this, and this, and then he told me, he goes, you know what, I had an old friend of mine tell me one time, he goes, never work harder than the students. And I always remember that, and I'm like, you know, I'd like to get better at making it more student-centered, and so I can facilitate rather than, you know, where I'm just leading, guiding discussions, and leading discussions and guiding some of the instruction, and I'm not actually up in front. Like, I do that sometimes, and I feel like it just kind of takes away from everything. I'd like to do less if I
Well, I
can.
think
By doing more.
The heavy lifting.
Yeah.
But I think it's essential also to explain to the students.
Yeah.
But I think one way that we can address that is by making sure that everybody understands that they have the responsibility to do and the task to accomplish. Do not expect 100% compliance. However, when you give feedback on a timely basis, their response also will be more immediate. Like currently, I have very insignificant number of students who complain about their grades. I said, you know, I don't assign grades. You earn them. And the next complaint, the next rationalization from this student was, you gave too many assignments. So I asked the students, the entire class, did I give many assignments? And they said, no. And then if you don't do the assignment, like, you know, for 1 week, they accumulate, they do not disappear. So by the time you try to accomplish all of them in 1 day, you get overwhelmed, and then you feel the frustration, and then instead of addressing the issue, like, you know, more objectively, tend to point our fingers to somebody else and put the blame on them. It's like what is happening in the crucible. Point your fingers to somebody else in order to save yourself. It's a good observation. Miss Words.
She said differentiation.
Oh, the frustration. Okay. So you know what? So how do you, or rather, in what ways did you adapt your instruction to meet the varying students' needs, and how effective were those adaptations? I know that lesson, or you're changing our lessons, or, you know, varying the degree of difficulties of our lessons, and, you know, addressing the needs of students is actually a complex issue. But so far, after you learned some of those weaknesses of yours, how did you address that issue?
Well, with our curriculum, TCI or History of Life, they have various types of assignments that are embedded at different levels. Some of the assignments can be text to speech, it can be on the computer, I can print it, and it can be also in another language. So I was using a lot of those parts of the program to help adapt my lessons. And they were working pretty well.
Okay.
I would say for my classroom, at first I was like always doing the same rotation. Like I would read, then I'd have the kids read independently. But I found that obviously everyone learns differently. So I'd give the choice of like, do you want to read individually? Do you want to read out loud with a small group? Or do you want to come in my group and have me read to you? And kind of split off like that in the classroom. And after a few times, the kids would like realize, oh, I learned better like this. I get my work done if I'm sitting by Miss V, or I'm better with the partner. So in my ninth ELA, that's one of the ways I've done that.
I forgot the question.
The question was,
Differentiation.
how did you do the differentiation?
Okay. You know, I tried a couple different things. One of the simplest, kind of like you were just talking about, is more kind of strategic grouping. I tried that a couple times, several times. It's almost, depending on, a lot of that is where kids are at depending on what we're doing. If they're struggling with this, then I gotta move them here together so they can sit with me, or I gotta move them so they can sit with the tutor, and I gotta have other kids moving on with the assignment, whatever they're doing. So that kind of helps meet them where they're at without kind of disrupting a lot. Also, differentiation. A lot of scaffolding, you know, especially when we're doing the writing. A lot of graphic organizers when I can use them. I try not to use too many of them, but when the kids really need them, especially kids, particularly kids, when I have kids with IEPs, a lot of times the accommodations require graphic. It actually will specify a graphic organizer for writing, color coding, things of that nature. I try to wean them off in sentence frames and starters, but I have to use them for a while.
Correct.
Outlines, you know, a lot of those, they need a lot of that. And it just depends which ones, and some of them don't. Sometimes I'll give a little bit, depending if I have more advanced. I have some advanced kids in several of the classes, and for that, that's you know, while other kids are trying to kind of catch up on one particular thing, and the other kids are kind of already done, trying to give them more enrichment activities to kind of, you know, get them deep little thinker to think a little deeper, you know, and hit, you know, higher levels, higher DOK levels, and with the other kids, you know, try to kind of, like I said, meet their needs without disrupting kind of the flow of the class.
So going back from your previous lessons, I want you to think of a particular lesson recently, probably, after learning some strategies, concepts, and skills, pedagogical skills and philosophy. If you could reteach one lesson, what would you change, and why would you change that?
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to my mind is we've been doing reading an anthology, different short stories, and with those there's vocab, there's characterization, there's comprehension questions. I think I again did a lot of the heavy lifting in the beginning, and they are capable of reading higher academic language, but I really broke it down in ways that I think that I didn't need to. And then moving forward, I changed the language to more Casper line, so it's we're not just doing it in my class, but they're gonna see these words and these strategies somewhere else, so it makes sense to them. So going back, if I could start the year over, I would have started that earlier. I think I had done 2 of those already before I made the change.